Welcome to Blathering Blatherskites. We are on episode number 77, and today is April 24th, 2017. I am one of your hosts, Ken Doman, or at Nintendo79, if you wish to reach me on Twitters or any of the other social media type things that will usually help you find me. And I'm joined by Robbie Baxter. He goes by the handle Fifth Race, FIFTHRACE. Good morning, Robbie. How's it been going?
Good morning, Ken. I've been unemployed for the last 3 days, so it's a little scary.
That's rough, man. 3 days.
I think I'm going to be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so getting excited. I start my first day at a new job today, and excited to get going on it. I don't know what the future holds. It's a little bit unsettling, but yeah. So
well,
see.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, today's kind of like new job starting day.
Oh yeah, your brother?
Yeah, my brother Craig,
Nice.
Craig Doman. He starts a new job today as well. So,
Nice.
Yeah, congratulations to him. Yeah, he's going to be starting at Nationwide Children's Hospital today. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, so it's well deserved. I think he's going to do really well there. So, yeah, I talked to him yesterday. We did a little 2-mile run and. Just asking about it and having the same kind of things, where it was like kind of going out into the unknown, and yeah, it's it is a little scary jumping into a new job, I think, but yeah, I think you guys are both going to do really well. So yeah, besides that though, isn't anything else been going on? I know that's a pretty big life change going on.
Yeah, the only other big thing was quitting my other job. So
yeah. Right.
Other than that, it's been pretty crazy around here. We have lots of soccer games and stuff going on, and just been a crazy weekend. So
yeah.
I
traveling at all, or
no? I mean, we traveled for Easter.
Yeah.
Which is one reason we couldn't do the podcast last week, was because I was exhausted.
Right, but, understandable. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be traveling for Memorial Day coming up, and should be back in Ohio for at least a 3-day weekend here soon. So
awesome. Yeah.
That'll be good. And yeah, just waiting for soccer to finish now, I guess.
Okay.
Whatever the next sport is.
We've been battling disease in our household. I'm the only one who's managed to escape unscathed so far.
Wow.
Knock on wood there. But yeah, the kids have just kind of gone back and forth. Just having the temperature, and then not being able to. Tesla's only missed like a day of school. She got sick over her spring break, which was kind of rough.
Oh,
and
yuck!
Then, yeah, and then she has a field trip today, so we have to find out if she is going to be able to go or not. So,
Has she had a temperature and stuff?
Yeah, she was like 101 yesterday. So,
we
gave her a bunch of medicine and hydration and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's kind of rough with the kiddos when they're not feeling well. And my wife threw her hip out the other day, which is like it's like, no, she's not that old, it's just a thing that she's dealing with, and making it tough for her to get around, especially with a couple little ones.
She had surgery on her hip at one point.
Yeah, they had to go in arthroscopically, and it was just something she was born with, like the ball joint of her hip. It just had this calcification type stuff on it that was just it's how her hip was formed when she was born, and they had to go in with a laser or something, or little tiny machine that kind of smoothed that off, and that made it better. But yeah, I don't know if she has to call her doctor today and see hey, what's going on? I thought we had this fixed. So yeah, those are fun things.
Yeah. So is she laid up because of this then, or
not quite? No, but I think it was much worse than yes. Yeah, I've been telling her not to overdo it, because
right,
don't want to end up in a spot where you are really laid up. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, I hope she gets better. That
I know,
not fun.
No, not at all. But yeah, so have you been able to? I know you guys have been crazy busy, but You able
Yes,
to
I
watch
have.
anything? Yeah.
I
Okay.
have. So I finished the second season of The Expanse, and it's still just as good as it ever has been. So I
Awesome.
definitely recommend that to any listener out there that's a sci-fi fan. It's a really good series. A friend of mine is reading the books right now, and I'm hoping to do that when I get done reading. I'm reading Game of Thrones right now, so it's a long series. But
Oh yeah.
once I get done with that, I hope to read The Expanse probably. Um,
Cool.
so yeah, that's been really good. And then I started. I had a night this weekend. It must have been Friday night. I started Legion,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah. That's a great show.
so
Yeah.
you see, are you caught up with the whole season then?
I am on the second to last episode.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
I
I'm
just got
almost.
through like 2.5 episodes. I need to finish the third
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a crazy show. Like
Mhm.
I had heard people say that they do a really good job of kind of like putting you inside the mind of somebody with mental illness, but
Mhm.
I had no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of, yeah, it's really out there, and
Yeah.
really good. I mean, it's really interesting, um, and I like that they're not telling you everything about the world as it is right now, because
Yeah.
it's
Well,
it's very. I mean, it seems to be, mutant X-Men world, but not completely the same that we've seen in some of the movies and stuff like that. So
like I
it's
couldn't even
interesting.
figure out like what year it was. Like it seemed like, oh,
Right,
this is a contemporary modern thing, and then some of the clothing and stuff kind of makes me
right.
think maybe this is in the past, and it's kind of hard to nail it down. Like
Yeah,
when is this taking place even?
yeah,
Because I feel like some of the clothing is kind of like 70s even, and it's like, well, are these people just wearing retro clothing, or
right.
is it actually taking place back then?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think I
still am
think they
not
do
sure.
that to mess with their head anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think the main actor, I don't know his name, but he does a really good job as the main character. And Aubrey Plaza, she was in Parks and Rec and done some other movies and stuff.
Oh, she's
Is
crazy in that. Yeah,
She's just really, I mean, it's a perfect part for her because she plays
yeah,
crazy really well and weird, just
yeah,
weird. She just plays weird really well. So,
yeah.
um, so yeah, I'm liking Legion, and I think it's about it. Like I said, I'm reading Game of Thrones right now.
Yeah. Oh, the
So
actor's name is
yeah,
Dan Stevens, by the way.
Dan Stevens, thank you.
Yeah, he also plays the Beast in the new Beauty and the Beast movie.
Really, that guy
Yeah,
does?
yeah, same
I did
guy.
not know that. Have you seen the
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast yet?
Yes, yeah, we did finally get to see that. Yeah, I think it was like right after Easter or something. We
Yeah,
went.
my wife went to go see it with her mom and sister, and so yeah, she liked it. I haven't
Yeah,
seen it yet.
I yeah, I thought it was pretty well done, but I don't feel like it added too much that we didn't see in the original cartoon version. I thought
Sure.
it was good, and it was like felt a little darker, I guess, and I mean the acting was really well done
Hmm.
and the songs and everything, but it just yeah, didn't feel that different that they needed to do a live action one. But it's done
Well,
really well, and it's a
I think they needed to do a live action one so that they can make more money off of it.
right.
So
That's the key. There was more money to be mined from that, and yeah, but it's cool. I mean, it was I think it was a fun movie. I think the kids both liked it. They seemed to. It's not one that they were like continue to talk about though. It's not like
right.
gosh, like Moana that they still
Hmm.
talk about and want to
Yeah,
watch that.
Moana is, yeah. Um,
That
do you remember the late night host? Was it James Corbin? Shoot. Anyway, he had Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors on, and Steph Curry has um, a daughter that's
Corden?
Corden, yeah,
Yeah.
James Corden, like 4 or 5, and they do this bit on his show where they're in a car and they sing karaoke together.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's hugely popular thing that even people don't watch his show. That his YouTube channel, he was
Right.
crazy with that stuff. Yeah.
But have you seen the one with Steph Curry in it?
No, I've not seen that
It's the poor guy. Like he says, I don't know any modern songs. All I know is children's songs.
one. Oh
So
no,
they,
see, that would be me. That would be me
yeah.
if I were in there.
So the two of them sang like a Moana song and a Frozen song. It was really good. It was
Oh,
really
that's
good.
funny.
So look up James Corden and Steph Curry on YouTube sometimes.
Steph Curry.
It's pretty
Okay.
fun. So
Yeah. Oh, that is funny, man. But yeah, I think some other things I've been watching though. The season premiere of Silicon Valley was last night.
oh, was it?
Yeah.
I knew it was on, but I need to watch it for sure. Was it good?
So I thought so. That show, I've been following it since it started, and it's just hilarious. The fourth season, they try to mix it up a little bit. They their company was in trouble, obviously, because they were kind of cooking their numbers on usage of their application, and they are looking for funding basically because they're just bleeding money, and they kind of have a big split. Richard, the main guy that founded the company, he decides he's going to go on his own and create a new internet. So that's kind of where
a new internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a pretty funny scene because he kind of conceptualize it like on the spot. Because they go back to the other venture capitalist, the billionaire, the guy, the 3 commas guy, if you remember him.
3 commas.
Yep. 3 commas. Yeah. and the guy doesn't buy it. He's like, you don't really like this thing. This isn't your passion. He's like, I can't fund that. He's like, if I was going to give you a bunch of money, what would you do with it? Or what would you want to use your algorithm to do? And then he just kind of comes up with this new internet right on the spot there. Yeah. And it's kind of it's funny. It's that show is so well done, in that I feel like they respect their source material, and they really try hard to be pretty accurate with stuff, because many shows don't get that stuff right, like the details and stuff like that. So yeah, it's I feel like they're back at it. They're on track with a good season coming up. That show's kind of tough because it's like they have to keep knocking them back down, because it's like if they would ever really do well, I feel like
that wouldn't be nearly as funny if they were successful.
Yeah. So in that, it's almost kind of frustrating to see them like keep falling on their face again. But yeah, I've been enjoying that show. It's that's on HBO, and I think the seasons usually only last like 13 episodes, and it goes straight through. So that's kind of nice. It's like every weekend for the next 13 weeks, and it airs Sunday nights at 10 p.m. But I subscribed to HBO through Amazon, so I think it showed up at like 11 o'clock last night. So
okay.
Yeah, and it's a half-hour show, which is, I kind of like the half-hour shows. It's a little more bite-sized. You can go in, watch it, get out. So, yep, I thought that was really good.
Oh, cool.
I think not too much else. Oh, I watched another HBO series called Crashing with Pete Holmes. I finished that like about a week or so ago, and it's an interesting show. Kind of really like an insight onto like a comedian, especially like a struggling comedian, kind of what they go through. And it's funny. It's kind of cringy at times, some of the stuff that he goes through, and he's just like basically homeless because his wife left him, and he has no other skills besides comedy, and he's having a rough time of it. So it's the cameos on it are pretty funny though, because they have like real comedians just come into this guy's life, like TJ Miller, who is on Silicon Valley. He like performs, like he opens for him one time, and then he's like, hey, can I stay with you? And he ends up like crashing on his couch for a couple nights, and like Sarah Silverman finds out that she like really points out that he's homeless. He's like, wait, you're homeless? And he's like, well, no, I'm not like a homeless person. She's like, but where do you live? He's like, well, I'm kind of between places right now. So she like adopts him, and she has these like project people that like stay with her like at her house, and it's kind of funny because they're like people that she's kind of taken in and trying to get them to succeed. So yeah, it's an interesting show, and it's a really short season. I think there's only like 8 episodes in that. So
Okay. Yeah, a friend of
Yeah.
mine at work was talking about it. He said he really enjoyed it too.
Yeah, and I didn't know. A friend of ours, a friend of the podcast, Israel Beachy. I guess he's a big Pete Holmes fan, and I asked him about that the other day. I guess he was really into that series, and he like listens to the guy's podcast and a bunch of other stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, but it's a cool show. It's a completely the first season's completely done and available.
Is it a series that will continue for more than one season?
I don't know. I think it could. I mean, they
Yeah.
definitely left it at a spot where they could keep going. I'm not sure how it was really received. If it got enough viewership or ratings or whatever. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's got its own little niche kind of thing. I don't know. I just like that it did feel very raw and like realistic. I think.
Right.
And just
What's the style of filming? Is it kind of, I don't
like
know.
a single camera kind of. It's like high production value stuff. Yeah, yeah. It's
Okay.
not like
The Office or
documentary. Yeah, it's not documentary style or anything. No, no,
okay.
no.
Yeah.
This is like
That
more.
was one question I asked my friend at work, was if it was kind of a mockumentary type thing or not. But he said no.
No, not really.
It's essentially a drama filmed that way, or
Mhm.
drama slash comedy, I guess. But
Yeah, and it's just kind of like insight into this guy's life. It's funny. There's another series. I think it is on Netflix, or at least it used to be. It was about Rob Schneider, and it was like his own life, like kind of like a week in his life of Rob Schneider,
oh
and
wow,
that was kind of funny too. Kind of different. I mean, he's obviously successful, so it was like from the other side of things, like someone who has been successful and
hmm
their dealings with things, and yeah, I don't know, having you know people treat you differently because you're famous and that kind of stuff, and that I felt like it was kind of similar in that it did feel fairly real. I
hmm
think his show is called Real Rob. I think that's what it's called,
hmm.
and yeah, that's one I just kind of found on my own, like just scrolling through Netflix. And I haven't heard of it from anywhere, so I don't think it did very well. I don't think there'll be another season of that.
Right.
But, yeah, it's out there. If you're a big Rob Schneider fan, you can check it out.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, Adam Sandler and his group of people, they tend to do well, even though it seems like everybody says, "Oh, they're not really funny," but well, everybody watches their stuff, so
Yeah. No,
they're doing something right.
yeah,
uh,
they're all multimillionaires and
yeah, and
um,
well, Adam Sandler, his new movie came out. I haven't had a chance to watch that.
not the Netflix direct one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he's had a few of them on Netflix now. Sandy Wexler, I think, is the new one. It's about kind of like a biography about his agent, like Adam Sandler's agent, and he
Okay.
plays that character. And I don't know, it's gotten kind of mixed reviews. It seemed to be somewhat positive, reception of it, at
hmm
least for a Sandler movie. So, and it's on Netflix, so I might check that out because, hey, why not?
Yeah.
It's free.
Why not? I pay my
Yeah.
$10 a month to stream this, and I can. Dang it, I'm gonna stream it if I
And
want
I
to.
feel like that's how a lot of people feel about Sandler stuff, and that's why they, paid him all that money to,
Yeah.
to make those movies. Uh, and I'm not sure how many more he has left in his deal with Netflix, but I think they do fairly well. I mean, they pull in viewers, so yeah, good old Adam Sandler, uh, and yeah, that Netflix they do some strange things sometimes, but they tend to work out for them. I saw an article the other day. I think they're approaching 100 million active subscribers. So
Wow.
that's pretty amazing. They have that many, and $10 a month so that's like
$1 billion a month.
$1 billion a month they're pulling in,
I
basically.
guess it's not that. I mean, it's not that much. I mean, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but so it's like 12 billion a year.
Yep.
But I know there's lots of companies that make that much.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But it seems like they pour a lot of their money right back into, the company and the business and,
Oh yeah, yeah.
building
I
all
mean,
these new shows and
they have a huge, network infrastructure and all their employees, and it's a yeah. I'm sure they're not making a huge profit on that 12 billion. There's a lot of operating expenses too.
Yeah.
plus all the productions they put together on their own, and all the money they spend buying content, which
Yeah. Oh, and they
crazy.
threw some money around. I mean, I think it was with Dave Chappelle. They paid him some obscene amount of money, like $20 million or something, for
Yeah.
his comedy specials. And yeah, I'm sure Sandler got a pretty good payoff for his. So yeah,
Yeah.
they invested right back in there. But they make themselves a pretty essential service though, because if they didn't have all this original content, I don't think I would still subscribe to it.
No, that was really a smart move in my opinion.
Yeah.
Was when I started doing all this original stuff, because now there's really good shows like
Yeah.
rivaling HBO
Oh
level
yeah.
production value. And as somebody who is into entertainment and stuff, I don't want to not watch these shows, because there's lots of conversations I get to have because I watch them. So
Oh sure.
um, yeah, they're doing a lot of right things right.
Yeah.
We'll see if other companies can catch up at some point. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like Amazon's pretty close, and they've had some success with their original content. But
yeah,
it's funny that there's a big difference, at least in perception. Like, my kids were wanting to watch something the other day, and I was gonna put it on Amazon, and my daughter was just like, no. She's like, I like the shows on Netflix better, and she said the shows on Amazon are baby shows, and I don't know, and that's not the truth. I mean, they have a pretty good variety of things and things that
right.
are for all ages, but at least it's funny that mind share. It seems like Netflix. I don't know what it is. Something about their service that has that appeal even to like very young viewers.
Hmm.
That's she'd rather watch stuff on Netflix, and Netflix I think does have a lot more stuff for kids her age and pretty much every age group. But
Choosy kids, choose Netflix.
yeah, right. Which it kind of blows my mind, because I'm like, when I was a kid, we had our choices were whatever was on when you turned on the TV.
Yeah, it was
Like,
it was whatever was on the TV, and you had to turn the TV dial to like in between the two numbers to get it to come in right.
right.
And then we got a VCR, and then we could watch Home Alone over and over and over
Exactly.
again,
Yeah.
because that's what my sister wanted to do. I can't tell you how many times I sat through Home Alone. Like, she would sit through the first 20 minutes, and then she would leave the room,
Oh no.
and I
Then
would
just leave
still
it
be in
going.
there watching the entire show.
So you probably have every detail of Home Alone memorized from childhood, pretty etched on your memory.
Unfortunately,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's etched in my neural pathways.
Right.
Speaking of neural pathways,
yeah, great segue, Robbie. That was brilliant. Yeah, main topic of the show we wanted to talk about. I'm not sure if any of our listeners have heard of this yet, but Elon Musk, who's tends to come up on this show a lot, but he's doing some interesting things
because he's awesome. My wife says he's my man crush.
Oh yeah, well,
it's kind of true.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
He's either my man crush or he's an evil, scientist bent on taking over the world. But
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Well, he's not someone who rests on his laurels. It's like he's not content with just 2 or 3 successful companies. He's always on to the next thing.
Yep.
And this is quite an interesting thing that seems like science fiction to me. This is like somehow combining the human brain with like augmentation with like computers. Is this like somewhere in the ballpark of what?
Yeah, sure. So there's a really good article on the whole thing on a website called waitbutwhy.com. And it's on this new company he formed called Neuralink, Neuralink, and he has gotten together with several very very smart people, like neurologists and other medical field individuals that are really big into this. Some people who have built machines that do link up with the brain at a rudimentary level, and just a group of really high-level scientists and personalities that would work well together, in his opinion. Apparently, he interviewed like 1,000 people, or at least vetted 1,000 people, and they ended up with this core group of, I think it's like 7 or 8 that are going to be working on this project. But the goal, I don't know what the goal is necessarily, but
that's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm not because
I guess I
looked at
do.
the article, and
I mean, I guess the goal is this. The article we've both been reading is trying to build you up to the goal, but in the interest of time, I can tell you what the goal is. The goal is to create another layer of the human brain that is machine-based, essentially somehow connecting to our brain in a way that we can communicate with a machine or a computer, and that evolving into like just an extension of our mind already. Would be the ultimate goal. And the reason he wants to do this is he has a genuine and I think founded fear of artificial superintelligence. And I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, the idea being that, you know, if we can build a robot, or not a robot, if we can build a machine, it doesn't have to be animatronic or moving. It just, if we can build a machine that is smarter than us and can learn and get and continue to get smarter than us, that curve, you know, can be exponential, and it can get so much smarter than us that we are ants compared to its intelligence, you know.
yeah, and I think very quickly it seems like once it starts, the iterations happen quicker and quicker.
Right. Yeah. So his fear is that, you know, there's I love his analogy. He said, you know, there's a very, very bad that, you know, the artificial intelligence, or it's not artificial, yeah. So as humans on this earth, we hold dominion over everything, essentially. Like, we have a lot of power over this earth. If there was something more powerful than us, they may treat us the way that we treat other animals.
Okay.
And he said, you know, maybe they'll treat us like a cat. And he said a cat would be a very good outcome. because
right.
Because
you
you'd have
get fed, you get shelter,
and we'd be taken care of.
Yeah.
But his idea is that if we are the artificial intelligence, if we are in control of it, and we're essentially, I mean, in some ways it is very science fictiony. It's almost X-Men like, where we as humans can harness the power of the cloud within our mind, that we don't need to have this separate entity that's artificial intelligence. It can be part of us, and it'll be us. It'll be like an extension of us. And the article we read talks a lot about the evolution of the brain, and how there's a part of the brain that's kind of the amphibian brain, where it's very rudimentary. It's, you know, fight or flight kind of mentality, breathing, you know, just very simple, like a frog. If a frog can do it, that part of our brain can do it, kind of thing. Yeah. And then there's the section that he describes as the ape brain, and it's more advanced than a frog, but it's kind of a layer over top of the frog brain. And then we have the human brain, which is like the cortex, and the ability to give us all the great things that humans can do that animals can't do.
Right. Like speech,
and so his
creativity,
right, yeah, speech and those types of things. And his whole point is that right now we are confined by bandwidth. If I want to tell Ken something, I need to use words to describe that thing. Or in some cases, I'm typing to him, which is using 10 fingers. Or in some cases, I'm typing on a phone, which is just using 2 fingers. So the bandwidth for me to get an idea to Ken is very, very slow compared to how fast I can think things. And so if there were a way for us to connect to each other as well, that we can share ideas and concepts as we see them, that would be very interesting as well.
So is this like kind of end result of this, like telepathy kind of thing? Or are we talking about like, you know, being able to just kind of think things at people and communicate through thought? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think it's telepathy in that, like, I can force you to do something or read your mind.
No. Just as far as the communication, I mean,
yeah, you would be able to essentially, your brain is hooked into a machine somehow, and that allows you to talk to another machine, which happens to be and Ken's wrapped around Ken's brain, and you could communicate that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes it would be words, but sometimes it would just be memories or thoughts or I don't know how many times I think in my head of something, but don't use words to describe it in my head because it's in my head.
Right.
I'm just thinking about it. And you could also, the idea of collaboration, the beginning of the article talks about the human colossus and how over time we stand on the shoulders of giants because of all the things that humanity has accomplished. And we have books and ways to store that information, and the next generation can use that information to get bigger and stronger and more scientifically powerful, so to speak. So through that collective ability, and books are really slow, and computers are, humans to read an article in a computer is really slow too. You think about how long it takes us to educate ourselves to the point where we're a PhD or something. Like it's a long time. And then that's where they actually start making some new things, but if we could get that information quicker, straight to my mind, those types of things, the human arc would be exponential too, because we would be able to, collectively do more faster.
For instance, let's say I want to learn Kung Fu, and then they put the Kung Fu right in your brain, and then Kung Fu.
I suppose that would be possible, maybe.
Sorry, the Matrix reference there, but
there's a really good book, and an article we've talked about here. He actually talks. I kept thinking, oh man, this book is just like this. This book is just like this. He needs to talk to this author about this, and so eventually he does talk to this author.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember the guy's name, but the name of the book, it's a series. It's 3 books. Let me find his name. Yeah. So the book is called Nexus, and the author is Ramez Naam, Naam. And it's kind of this near future, sci-fi book. Yeah. But if this technology can take off, it would be an interesting way to look at it. So the book is called Nexus. I encourage you to read it. It's really interesting. But right now they're just, as far as brain machine interface, we have some. We have like cochlear implants, which is a way for people who are deaf to hear. There's ways, and essentially all that is there's already an input from the ear to the brain, and we're essentially getting like attaching to that. There's similar things for the eyes. Blind people are able to see, and not like how we see necessarily, but they're able to put signals onto the nerves and have vision. And apparently that's making some jumps recently. I saw an article that I haven't read yet, but and then there's there's different things where you can see what activity is happening in the brain, but there's a long way to go.
Right. Well, and I've seen even instances where people have like an artificial limb they can control with their mind.
Yes.
And, move the fingers on the artificial hand kind of thing. So that I'm sure is fairly rudimentary compared to what they're potentially looking at doing.
They want to do. It's a similar. They talk about in the article. It's a similar process or a similar arc they want to get on, is like Moore's law, which was that every 18 months the number of transistors on a CPU microchip can double. And right now there's another law that's for brain machine interface that is much not as exponential.
Right.
So it would take a long time.
Or if it is exponential, the timeline is much longer. So
yes,
not every 18 months, maybe
every 7 years, I think.
Okay.
Like it's doubling. So meaning that we have all these neurons in our head, but we can read like some of them kind of, but we really need to get the interface much more compact to be able to read more neurons at the same time. Like and eventually billions and billions of neurons at the same time would be perfect. But if they could get to, I mean, they're at like hundreds now.
Yeah. So
If
I
they
feel like
could
the
get to like
irony here is that
millions.
they might need the more advanced computers to be able to make the thing to make more advanced humans. Because
Well, that's one thing they're thinking about is if they can get this to a rudimentary level, where humans and machines can interface, more, a lot more than today, but that maybe it will spark that,
yeah,
where you're able to come up with new ideas faster because you're using the
yeah.
computational.
I'll tell you,
Um,
some of my thoughts going through my head as we're talking about this, though, is like we think that people are kind of antisocial now in that they are always looking down at their phones or they don't speak to each other anymore, that kind of thing. I'm
right.
like, oh my gosh, if you can do all this stuff just with your mind and control things and communicate, then no people are going to stop talking because it's just they won't need to, and it'll be so much more efficient and quicker, and not limited by being in the same room with somebody or having to call them. It's like you can just have these pathways.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they may stop talking, like
Yeah.
vocally talking, but
Right.
the point that Elon is trying to make is that talking is a very, very slow process.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I mean, we are making our voices go across air
Yeah.
to
Well,
someone in vibrations in the air. But if we could just talk to somebody with our mind, it'd be so much
yeah,
faster.
right. But at the same time, I think that when you speak and when you have to compose your thoughts into words, yeah, that puts a filter on that. So,
Sure.
and I think if you didn't have to actually
Well,
spit the words out,
it's
yeah,
essentially a compression algorithm. I mean,
right,
I mean, yes, there
yeah,
is a filter sometimes, and there are things that you think that you probably shouldn't say out loud. But
right,
you would have, I think, you would have a choice whether or not you want to say, show those thoughts. But if I'm trying to explain to somebody who's never seen an elephant what an elephant looks like, it
oh,
can be very difficult to do that in words.
right,
Which is why I would show them a picture.
yeah,
But if I don't have a picture, or it, and that's very, very low level idea. But if there's things that, scientifically I can show them that I understand now, and form, not necessarily even pictures, but concepts in my head, and be able to show that to you and not have to speak it for 3 hours in a lecture,
right.
that's a lot better bandwidth.
That's kind of crazy. That yeah, you could explain very technical and difficult topics much more quickly, and get that understanding from people. Because I think even though you can explain something as well as possible, you're still limited by the way people hear it, and they have other distractions and things, and it's like sometimes it takes a
Yeah.
lot of reiteration to get that point across. So
And even like email and stuff today, I don't know how many times I've read an email and taken it in the wrong way.
right.
Like thought the tone was a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's opportunity for less misunderstandings and stuff. So anyway, it's all very science fiction now, but that's kind of their end goal. But they have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Similar to what they did with the electric car market. They want to push for this idea and hopefully get some sort of buy-in, and maybe some other companies will come along and start doing some things too, and I think they'd be fine with that. I don't think Elon's doing this because he wants to make a ton of money. I think he's doing this because he thinks it's important,
Yeah.
for humanity. So
Well, that's one thing I really respect about Elon Musk is that he's not making things that are necessarily for just within his lifetime. He's looking beyond his own lifespan, because things like SpaceX and this Neuralink and these things that may not come to full fruition until much time has passed, and
mhm.
perhaps past his lifetime, but he's trying to instigate and start these things that could benefit humanity in the long term. So yeah,
Right.
pretty cool. Well, I know we are on our timeline. You've got to head out, so
Yeah, I've got to go to my first day
yep,
at my new job, so
yep.
don't want to be
So
late for that.
nope, not at all. Well, thank you, Robbie, for joining me today. This has been Blathering Blatherskites, episode number 77. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Yeah, and everyone have a great week. Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks.